devil. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I, I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I, I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V, I'm the D-E-V-I-L. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I, I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I, I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V, I'm the D-E-V-I-L, the devil.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another riveting episode of The Final Word here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy MattyB on the call on this lovely Wednesday, February the 5th, 2025. Hump day, whatever, kind of halfway through the broadcast week. Well, actually, we only have one more episode tomorrow, and that'll be the end of the Final Word for the week, but we're back. We weren't on the air last night. I was supposed to do post-game duty for the Clear the Ice program, but again, I have to come clean. I made a technical faux pas. I negligent of my responsibilities. So you guys know I've been dealing and battling with this. I don't even know what the hell this thing is that I got, but it was something that about a week ago kind of started, and for the first 3 or 4 days I had it, I couldn't get out of bed, or I could, but it took everything in my power to stand up. Finally, around Saturday, I started feeling better, but it's been a slow, process to recover completely. And I don't necessarily feel the effects of fever or fatigue, sort of, but boy, whenever I get an opportunity, all I want to do is sleep. I'm still kind of not fatigued, but just lethargic, I guess. And last night, as I was sitting here watching the game, preparing for the post game, I was struggling, man. I was struggling to stay awake. I was struggling to stay engaged in the game. And of course, it doesn't help that the game was boring. And the Flyers are, the brand of hockey the Flyers play is boring. So it's hard to keep riveted into a game in the first place with them. Especially when it's on at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night and running through midnight and all that. So I just said at a certain point, especially at the end, when they gave up the lead, I was like, the hell with it, man. I'm going to bed. So I'll do a sort of a kind of a summarized post-game show here tonight on this program to get you caught up. Again, Flyers lost in overtime last night, 3-2 to the Hockey Club, as the season continues to lump along for the Philadelphia Flyers. So again, I apologize for not following my responsibilities to the letter. It's not like me. I have a very hard work ethic, a very good work ethic, and take a night off. Again, I'm just, I know there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with something like this that have recently gotten sick over the last week. It's going around, and thankfully I have the antibodies now, and I won't get it again, hopefully, this winter. But if you have not gotten it, steer clear from this thing. If you have gotten it, I feel you, and I sympathize with you, and I wish you a speedy recovery, because I'm not a person who gets sick a lot in my life, and there's probably only about 4 or 5 major ones that I can remember. This is definitely one of them. And I have no idea where I picked it up. I have no idea where I got it, but it's been a hard road to kind of shake it completely free. And last night I kind of fell victim to that. So again, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I fell asleep, that I chose sleep over the post-game show. I did. And I'm sorry. I'll report myself to the It's a Wrap Sports Management team, and hopefully they'll have pity on my soul. But yeah, so I was supposed to be on last night with the post game, but I didn't make it. And then, of course, I didn't do my show because I was going to do post game. So nothing happened last night. But here I am tonight. It's a brand new day, a brand new night. Let's put the past behind us and let's move on into the future. And here on the Interrap Sports Network, it's of course it is the future, and we are getting closer to the big day, Sunday. And it's going to start off with my first point after I get through all this little kind of procedural stuff. Is I don't feel like it's Super Bowl week. I don't know, man. I just am not. I'm not seeing enough of it. I'm not. It's not seeped into every pore of my life. I don't know what's going on, and I'm open for it. I want to enjoy it, but I'm just having a hard time getting really plugged into this thing. And maybe it's part of the narrative that I've been riding for so long that I'm becoming immune to the good times. But I'm just having a hard time plugging in, and I cannot wait for Sunday to get here. Eagles and Chiefs can get here. Cannot get here fast enough for me. But I don't remember any other Super Bowl week like this. I don't remember in my entire life. I don't, even when I was a child back in '81, preparing for Super Bowl 15. I still remember being more into it then. And then, of course, Super Bowl 39 was huge. Super Bowl 52 was huge. 57 was big. And for some odd reason, I just can't seem to, or it just doesn't seem that real, I guess. I don't know. It just doesn't seem that way right now for me. So maybe I'm in a minority. And if I am, I apologize. But that's just kind of how I feel about the preparations leading up to the game. But it doesn't really matter about any of that anyway. It's all about the game. So we're going to get more into the game because tonight we're going to continue our retrospective, our breakdown on a position group and compare the position groups and kind of see who comes out on top and who I give the edge to. We did the offensive line the other night, and I gave the slight hand. I obviously gave the hand to the Eagles, but not as overwhelming as I think people think that the Eagle offensive line is compared to the Chiefs. It's not. Where the Eagles have the Chiefs head and shoulders on the offensive line is on rushing offense. And there's no mistake in that. And that's enough to put them over the edge. But if you take that rushing attack away, if you took Saquon Barkley out of the mix, or if you take what he's been able to do behind that offensive line out of the mix, these two offensive lines, statistically at least, are pretty even or right next to each other. And tonight we'll do another position group. And then tomorrow night on our final show of the week, we will do our final position group. We're only going to do 3 position groups that I think are key, the 3 most key factor position groups that's going to either spell Eagle defeat or victory that we're breaking down. So we're going to get back into that. We're going to do our of the night segments, our card review as well. And again, just try to kind of catch up on some things that we missed out on yesterday. And our day in Philadelphia sports history, all those great positive things that we do here on the program. But before we start, I want to remind everybody out there that everything that you see here on this network is brought to you by the great folks here at It's a Wrap that do a lot of great work behind the scenes, and we need your help. So please give us a like, a subscribe, a share, a wave, a send out, a follow, all those great things. We could really appreciate it and really use it as we're moving through 2025. Hopefully, a bigger and better year than the last 2 months of 2024 were our first 2 months of existence. So we continue to build this thing. So we're really proud and happy, and let's continue to move into the future. So let's get it going tonight with your day in Philadelphia sports history. This moment in time is brought to you, or we're going to go all the way back to the year 1880. That's right, 1880, not 1980, but 1880. And yes, again, contrary to popular belief, I know I was not here. I was not there. I was not on the scenes reporting this moment in Philadelphia sports history in 1880, but I'm reading about it just like everybody else. And I have to read it to you verbatim because there's a lot of tricky words in here. There's a lot of weird names in here. So I want to make sure I get them all correct and I paint this picture correctly. But it's a baseball fact, and here we go. The National League back on this day in 1880 voted in the Worcester Ruby Legs, also known as the Worcester's Brown Stockings. Okay. For 2 years, they'd serve as a placeholder team for the upcoming Philadelphia Quakers. So on this day back in 1880, essentially, the Philadelphia Phillies were born and given admittance into the National League. Again, not as the Phillies or Quakers, or as the franchise that would become known as them, but as the placeholder franchise. Due to poor attendance in 1882, the Ruby Legs folded, and Philly businessman Al A.J. Reach purchased the vacant spot that would be the Phillies franchise. The Ruby Lake squad is historically distant from the current Phillies club, as only Worcester's reservation in the National League was for sale and not the team itself. So essentially, after they went bankrupt in 1882, Al AJ Reach came in and purchased their spot in the National League. Did not purchase them, but their spot, paving the way for the Philadelphia Quakers, which would become in 1883, which would then become the Philadelphia Phillies and all that. So there you go. Essentially on this night, in a roundabout way, not directly, because I'm sure if we look deeper into this, and and it is there because I did, there is an actual anniversary date in 1883 for when the Philadelphia Quaker franchise was born. But in order to be born into the National League, they had to have a spot in the National League. And on this night, the team that they would take that spot from in 1882 was born in 1880. So happy, kind of in a roundabout way, Philadelphia Philly birthday as we're sitting here in early February. And those of you that are keeping track at home, 8 days until pitchers and catchers report to spring training, and all is well and right in the world. So that'll be, of course, one of the main stories of next week. But there you have it, your day in Philadelphia sports history. The team that held their spot in the National League that the Phillies would eventually take in 1882 was admitted into the National League. So yeah, again, it's a vague Phillies reference, but it is connected, and the Phillies absolutely, got some worth out of it. So, all right. That was your day in Philadelphia sports history. Again, brought to you by the great folks and the great things over here at the It's the Wrap Sports Network. And some are just to kind of keep your eyes out for as we get into the back end of this week. Tomorrow, 4:30 or 4:15 right here, Kyle Quinn and myself will come at you with the Birds Blast. It'll be the Super Bowl, or the championship game look back, which will be due very, very quickly. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking more about what was the Commanders. And of course, we're going to spend the majority of our time digging into the Super Bowl matchup between the Eagles and the Chiefs. So the Super Bowl edition of the Birds Blast tomorrow, 4:15 with Kyle Quinn. Our third, I can't believe this, but our second. Our second Super Bowl edition of the program since we've been doing this together. 0-1, me and Kyle are in the Super Bowl, but we'll see. We'll turn our fortunes turn. So tomorrow that'll be Kyle and me at 4:15, and then tomorrow night I'm right back at this for the final word. And then on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., there you go. Mark your calendars. 10 a.m. Sunday, the Birds fly by the Eagles pregame show, Super Bowl pregame show here on the network live, 10 a.m. on Super Bowl Sunday. Get your first start. Your first look at game day with the folks here at It's a Wrap. Myself, Sal, working on some other names. I'm sure Mike Laro's going to be doing it. I believe Big Al has agreed to it as well. So all of us will be in his house breaking down some Eagles, some Chiefs Super Bowl as we get you ready for Super Bowl 59 on Sunday. So make sure you're there. And can't wait to do that. And let's get into hockey real quick. And I want to get that out of the way because it's become an afterthought in this city. The season has become an afterthought. Everything about what was optimistic about the Flyers last season has almost seemed to have melted away in a somewhat very disappointing 24-25. Obviously, if last year doesn't happen and you're sitting here 55 games into this year, 2 games under 500. Maybe we're not talking that, but based on what occurred in 2000 or last season, you can't be but a little bit disappointed on how the Flyers have come out in year 2 of the rebuild, and then kind of sending up the white flag essentially a couple nights ago by sending Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost out to Calgary for 2 players. Komachek and Peltier, who I don't even think are with the team yet, for God's sakes. Neither one of them they're having visa issues. They can't even get to the United States. I mean, come on, man. Not only can we not get a trade right, but when we get a trade done, We can't even get the players here. I listen. It's stupid for me to sit here and talk about visa problems as oh, look at this, the Flyers. But it just seems so right that this is happening, right? To the Flyers, they can't get players to play for them because of visa issues. It just seems so Flyers right now with this damn organization. Everything they touch turns to crap. And not that these two players that were coming back on the other side of this trade were going to do anything for this team offensively as the Flyers continue to struggle to put the puck in the back of the net. It's more that second round draft pick that they're getting is really what matters, because I think Peltier would probably be re-signed at the end of the year as he's an RFA, but Komachek, he's not going to be re-signed. He's going to go. He carries a $5 million a year AAV. The Flyers are not going to re-up with that. They just got rid of $5 million AAV on Joel Farabee. They're not going to re-up him. So essentially, you're looking at a second round draft pick and Jordan Peltier as the trade here. So I get that, but it would be nice because he at least has an opportunity to kind of audition for a potential contract. I mean, he's got potential. He's had 75 points his rookie year. I mean, he's done it before. Hasn't really recaptured any of that since then, but the Flyers can't even get that thing right. But last night in Salt Lake against the Utah, don't call us the Yetis, but I think now it's the Outlaws is what they're trending to be next season, the hockey club now. The Flyers went out there and got on the board first, got up on the team 1-0. They held a 2-1 lead into the third period. Sam Ersson was standing on his friggin' head last night. 42 saves for Ersson, as the Flyers were constantly allowing the hockey club, who was a sneaky good team, by the way. I can't believe that's the remnants of the Arizona Coyotes. I know they made some moves in the offseason. They got obviously a boost when they were sold, and they got more money and had more money to put other places. But they have definitely done really well, sneakily really well. And I think in about a year or two, I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck into the playoffs this year. And going forward, I wouldn't be surprised if they're one of those like young up and coming teams in the Western Conference. I really would not be surprised about that. But they just hung around all game long, and then finally, after 42 shots, whatever, they got through to Ersson, tied the game up, and then win it in overtime, handing the Flyers the OTL. The Flyers do pick up a point there. The Flyers now, through 55 games this season, 23, 25, and 7 for 53 points. As they break the 3-game losing streak, they get on the board with scoring some goals. They've obviously still can't generate enough offense. They're below 3 goals a game on average for the season now. They're now actually giving up as a team over 3.5 goals a game. So that's obviously not building or driving at all, as they're down to 2.7 goals a game average through 55 games, which you're not winning a Stanley Cup when you're not able to score at least 3 goals a game. That's just not happening in the NHL. You got to be able to score at least on average 3 goals a game, and the Flyers can't. Last night, again, 42 shots given up. The Flyers have now surrendered over 1,500 shots on the season, which is only good for about 27 a game, which I can live with. They're 6-4 now in overtime. Last night, 15 more giveaways. That number is now over 800 on the year, still upwards, around 15 giveaways a game. And they credit the turnover problem last night as being sort of one of the reasons why the Flyers could not pull away from Utah. And number 2, obviously, is why Utah got in and created a lot of scoring opportunities. The Flyers did turn the puck over a lot. Some of those plays that are considered turnovers, you got to kind of look at them a little deeper. We know that in the NHL, a turnover is a forced error, right? It's a turnover, but a giveaway is an unforced error. And it's unfortunate for the Flyers this year. And it's a point that I've made on the show week after week, post-game after post-game. I've never seen a team so inept at giveaways than the Flyers have been this year. Last season, again, this is a point that I've made over and over. They averaged about 6.5 giveaways a game. This year, they're up near 15 a game. And nobody's really asking questions about that. No one's really digging into it. No one wants to, kick over that rock. But that's been a problem since day one of the season. Since day one of this season, the Flyers have had major issues in giving the puck away. And I know that when you factor in 14 or so giveaways a game, or close to 15, and then you throw in about 5 or 6, 7 turnovers on top of that a game, I don't see how you're able to win anything, because you're just giving the puck away epically all night long. And that's what's happened to the Flyers this season. They're just not good. They're not a good team with the puck. They're just not a good team off the puck. And if I'm going to take anything from this rebuild this year and kind of start questioning coaching, because I think, generally speaking, John Tortorella has done an amazing job with this group. And, up until the trade and really the admittance that the season is done. And now we're starting to realize there's certain players that are currently on this team that are not going to fit for the future. So now we're going to start trading them away. So now we're going to dip. He's done a good job. He's done a really good job with the team. But if there's a coaching point that needs to be asked about, or a coaching point that may need to be criticized, is the Flyers' action on the puck and off the puck this year. Their stick handling, their passing, their decision making, all those things that go into giveaways and go into turnovers have been on the rise all season long, and they've taken a severe step, or maybe multiple steps, backwards this season. And those are coaching type things that need to be discussed and criticized. So if I'm going to criticize Tortorella anywhere, and really the only place is going to be on giveaways, and why this team has had problems all season long with them. And you couple in 15 giveaways a game, and you throw in 5 or 6 turnovers a game, which doesn't seem like a lot of turnovers, but then you add them into 40 or 50, you're looking at 20 errors, 20 turnovers essentially a game, and that adds up, man. Those equal goals. And for a team in the Flyers that cannot afford to give anybody anything a game, because they just don't have the offense, they're certainly giving the puck up a lot, and a huge difference between the way it was last season. So Flyers lose tonight, or last night, 3-2 in overtime. Tomorrow night, they'll be back at it, I believe, at home. Are they back home tomorrow? Yeah, back home tomorrow against the Capitals, and we're back at it. And there will be a clear the ice tomorrow. Sal has you tomorrow against the Capitals. And then Mike, I believe Mike had said, if it's not Mike, it's me. I think it might be me on Saturday. So either me or Mike on Saturday, but one of us will definitely be here. And yes, I will be back on Saturday if it's me. I promise you that. But there you have it. There's the Flyers wrap up, I guess, if you want to talk about it. Your Flyers report, your Flyers daily, your Flyers daily wine, and your Flyers daily bitch, provided by your boy MattyB. So got to get that out of the way as the Flyers season, 55 games in. I can't believe we're that deep into this. Now, the Four Nations tournament's coming up next week, over the next 2 weeks. So there'll be no hockey, and then they'll finish up with, I think, 3 games at the end of the month. And then by the time we get to the end of February, we're sitting at 60 games in. It's only 22 left. I cannot believe the season has gone so fast. And starting to really look at playoff positioning, or not playoff positioning, draft positioning. And we're going to really turn on the afterburners on some of the the NHL draft stuff. We've talked it a little bit. We've done about 5 players. We got to really turn it on a little bit and get a little bit more out there. Start talking up some of these guys. Start looking at who we think the Flyers might be targeting, as they have 7 draft picks in the first and second round alone this year in the summer. So could be an extremely interesting draft for the Flyers. Do they add assets for the future, or do they trade some of these picks for potential players, from other teams? And that's the night you want to do it. Everybody starts getting really, weird about the draft board, and they want to add assets to their team. And that's when you can pluck a player that maybe's fallen out of favor a little bit. And the Flyers will be able to clear up a little cap with the Joel Verity $5 million coming off the board. So it helps their situation out a lot. And you don't know who else might get moved along between now and then. And maybe Ristolainen, who I believe is the player now that everybody's targeting or talking about, could be the next one. And that comes with about a $4 to $5 million hit in AAV too. So I'll take that as we desperately need to clear some cap up and desperately try to kind of restock as we're finding out who's who on this team, and it's obviously not good enough. So there's your Flyers report. You like that? You like how I'm seamless, man? I can just go in from one right into the other. So let's get it into football now. That's, of course, why everybody comes. Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl 59. 4 days away. We've gotten there. We just got to get a few more days through this. I think Friday would be the real next watermark check day. You can make it to Friday. Then after that, it's all straight up downhill. But the Eagles, again, I've been listening too. It's just really been tempered, It's been real tempered Super Bowl expectations. Interesting. But maybe as we get deeper into the week, starting tomorrow being Thursday, maybe it will amp up a little bit. But here on this program, the other night we took a look at the offensive line, and remember this, I put that up there, and we talked about how the offensive lines stacked up against each other, using, of course, offensive stats to stack them up against each other. And with the exception, in my opinion, of the rushing offenses, as you can see, the Eagles with the second best rushing offense in all of National Football League, and the Chiefs with the 22nd best, which to me is, obviously between number 2 and number 22 is there's a pretty big disparity there. But other than that, I don't know, man. I'm pretty. Things to me were pretty even there. Not even, but a lot more evener than I thought. Let me take that banner down so you can see the bottom part. But there you go. And again, this is offensive stats, and I know that this is not the offensive stats are not indicative to the offensive line play, but the foundation to any great offense is their offensive line. So everything is built from the out, from the line out. Your offense is built from the line out. So your offensive line will carry the day. So there you go. I gave the nod to the Eagles offensive line wise, and it's the right decision to make. But I was pretty surprised that it wasn't as overwhelming as I thought it was going to be. So tonight, we're going to take a look at the defensive line, the front four. We're going to take a look at some of how these two units stack up. Because again, we're only taking 3 position groups. If I had more time, which I probably should have done last week, we could have broke down all the position groups, gone linebackers, secondary, wide receivers, running backs, all that. But we don't. So I went through the foundational pieces of building a football team: offensive line, defensive line, and then our final piece tomorrow will be the quarterback and the coach. As those are the foundational pieces to build any great football team, in my opinion. So tonight, though, we're going to look at the defensive lines, and here they are. Let's get them up here. It's the front four of the Eagles and the Chiefs, and these numbers are even more similar to each other. Of course, the Eagles with the best overall defense in all of football this past season. The Chiefs come in at the 9th best. The Eagles were the 10th best rushing team, or 10th best against the rush. Chiefs were 8th. So the Chiefs are better statistically against the rush. Eagles were 1st against the pass. Chiefs were 18th. The Chiefs were 4th in scoring. Eagles were 2nd in scoring. Chiefs were 8th in the red zone, and the Eagles were 5th in the red zone. So, again, you look at some of these, 9th and 1 it's considerable. It's 8 spaces away. You got to give the first best defense. I mean, they take that, right? The rush defense, 8 and 10. That's pretty close. Pass defense, now there's probably the biggest one, 1st through 18th, and then 4 and 8. Again, with maybe the exception of the pass defenses of these two teams. And I don't know how much of a stat you can attribute passing to the front four. Everybody says that, well, if you allow a quarterback to stand back there forever, then he's going to pick you apart. Doesn't matter what your secondary does. So your front four drives a lot about your pass attack, right? The pressure that your front four can get on the quarterback tells you a lot about your secondary, actually. So there is something to that, and I'll give you that. So with the exception of the rush of the pass defenses between 1 and 18, these are pretty similar looking groups and similar looking defensive fronts. The Chiefs' defensive front is a little bit more traditional, whereas Nolan Smith, who bounces all over the place, is he an edge rusher? Is he a weak side linebacker? Is he a will linebacker? What is Nolan Smith? The Chiefs run a pretty traditional down lineman set, whereas the Eagles have a little bit of a hybrid thing going on, trying to use some athleticism there to generate a little bit more of a pass rush and add more containment around the edges. I don't know here, man. I mean, the numbers are telling me one thing, right? But there's some things that these two teams do really similar well, and some things they do really, starkly different well. So I guess going with numbers, you got to give the Eagles the nod here, but this is a lot closer than the offensive line. I mean, it's really close, with the exception of the pass defenses, where the Eagles have taken advantage fully, I believe, of that athleticism of linebacker play and Nolan Smith. Of course, Jalen Carter is a difference maker in the middle, but so is Chris Jones. I mean, these two front fours are pretty similar. One's traditional, one's non-traditional. I'll give the nod to the Eagles hesitantly because of the pass defense comparison or differences, but they're not that different from each other. They're very similar defensive front four units. And even though now that I've given the defense to the Eagles and I've given the offensive line to the Eagles, it's not by that much. And it's not as much as I think it should be, or as I think it. I hear people talking about how, the Chiefs are this much better than the Eagles, and their offensive line's that much better than the Eagles. No, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing pretty good, kind of balanced out groups that might neutralize themselves out. But right now, hesitantly, I'm going to give the defensive front four to the Eagles. And but it's not by much. And it might be more even than I'm giving it credit for. So there you have. So we've just broken down now the front four and the offensive lines. Tomorrow we'll finish it up with the quarterback and the coaches. And that will be the extent of our breakdown heading into the Super Bowl for both these teams. And tomorrow, of course, at 4:15 on the Birds Blast, I will give my official prediction, score, and game MVP as well, along with Kyle Quinn, as we will do the Super Bowl edition of the Birds Blast. So there you have it. Let's keep the show moving, man. Let's do the Of the Night segment. All right, this is the Other Night segment, of course. Flyers MLB Spotlight player, Phillies Spotlight, Flyers Spotlight, Flyers Prospect, Phillies Prospect, MLB Draft Target, NHL Draft Target. Let's get back. Let's keep it in hockey. We talked a lot about hockey tonight. Let's keep it in the hockey world, and let's go to Flyers Prospect breakdown, as we're only about 2 or 3 players away from finishing this. I've been on this since October. Tonight, your Flyer Prospect player of the night is Zayd Wisdom. Right winger, currently plays for the Phantoms, drafted in the 4th round of the 2020 COVID draft. 5'11", 194. Although he still needs to work on some aspects of his game, Wisdom has plenty of bright spots in his game as well. He uses his strength to gain positioning in front of the net and is hard to knock off the puck. He is not afraid to be physical in the corners and can be often seen coming out with the puck on his stick. So Zayd Wisdom, I remember when the Flyers brought him here. It was the same draft in which Caleb Dinoyois was drafted. I thought the Flyers had some really high expectations for both Zayd Wisdom and Dinoyois, and neither one has really worked out. You could call COVID as maybe a part of their developmental stump process. The Flyers were, maybe they gave him too much too soon. As you remember, that first year, there was no junior hockey. There was no AHL hockey technically, but the Flyers were able to keep all their prospects together and run them through some sort of like season-long training camp, right, to keep them fresh in case they were needed by the big club. And maybe it was too much. Maybe there was too many pro-style type situations being coached to these guys too soon. They were both 18 or 19 coming out at that particular moment in time. They went back to junior hockey the following seasons, spent a couple of years there, returned to AHL last year. Zayd Wisdom was with the Flyers. He's been bouncing around between the Phantoms and the Royals. It's never good when you're a fourth-round pick or any pick, and you're having a hard time catching on in the AHL. And Zayd has had problems. So 5'11" might be the undersized there. He's got the attitude. He's got the chip on his shoulder. He plays very physical. He's very physical. He'll drop the gloves whenever as well. He's a good-looking prospect. It just doesn't seem like he's able to kind of take that next step. And I don't even think that next step for him, and I don't think the Flyers think that next step for him is the Flyers. I think that they think the next step is a firm, stick with the Phantoms. And he hasn't really been able to do that. And I think the Flyers have gotten pretty frustrated with both him and Caleb Dinoyois as well. Both of them will be RFAs at the end of the year. I am not sure if the Flyers continue on with Zayd Wisdom. It might be time to just kind of move on. I don't see him being a Flyer anytime soon. And, as a fourth-round pick in 2020, you would think they would have at least had a cup of coffee with the Flyers, and he hasn't been able to do that so far this season for Wisdom with the Phantoms. Where's his numbers? I was just looking at them. Yeah, we go. 40 games, 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points, and a +7, which is very interesting. So he's been on the ice a lot when they're scoring, which is very good. But very pedestrian play from him, And I think the Flyers are at a point in their development with Zayd that moving on from him might be the next step. I would not be surprised if he was not a Flyer next year and potentially maybe moved as part of some sort of trade deadline move this year. But there you have it, man. There's your Flyer prospect of the night, Mr. Zayd Williams of the Philadelphia of the Phantoms. So not a positive thing. And as I said, I like him as a player. I love the style he plays with, but it's just he doesn't have he's not able to stick, man. And you want to see draft picks take steps and mature. And you're 5 years in now with him, and come on. One's enough to know that it's not going to be enough. But there you go. There is your of the night segment, Zayd Wisdom of the Philadelphia Phantoms. Not the Philadelphia Phantoms. I'm thinking back in the day, Lehigh Valley Phantoms of the AAA, of the AHL. Good God, man. I got memories or thoughts of baseball on my mind. So yeah, but with baseball, I guess let's get into our final and most fun segment of the night. Yeah.
Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. What? Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
Yeah, this is the card review segment, the time of the show where we take one of my vast sports cards, pull it up here on the old Google box there and talk about it, discuss some of the nostalgic value, the financial value, intrinsic value, all those great things that it might have. Talk about the player too, kind of somewhat of an introductory to some players that you might not know much about, and have a lot of fun doing it. So let's get it rolling. We're staying in. I don't think we've left baseball for a while. I think it's been a hot minute since I've done anything non-baseball. We're going to stay in baseball tonight, and we're going back to the 87 Tops. Told you this. Kept warning you about this over and over and over again. 87 Tops is one of the most iconic sets ever produced in sports cards. It's also one of the most widely produced sets in sports cards. So there's a lot of them out there, and most of us have them. So there's a lot of 87 Tops in my collection, in my sets as well. So here we go with our card of the night is our 87 Tops Vita Blue. That's right. Old blast from the past, old Vita Blue. Now, of course, Vita in 86, when these stats were pulled, is not the same pitcher he was back in 69 when he broke into the majors with the Oakland A's. But Vita Blue has always been a really quality starter. Really an innings guy, really an innings eater guy. This is of course, the well over the hill Vita Blue, but his early days back in the league, and he spent a lot of time in the Bay Area, spent stints with both Oakland and San Francisco and throughout his career. Actually, 2 stints with Oakland and 1 with San Francisco. And throughout his career, Vita was a 6-time All-Star in 71, 75, 77, 78, 80, and 81, a 3-time World Series champion, 72 through 74. He was the AL MVP in 71. He was a Cy Young Award winner also that year in 71. And he won also the All-ERA leader in 71. So in 71, he won the MVP, the Cy Young Award, and he was the AL MVP award, ERA award winner. He pitched a no-hitter in September 22nd or 21st of 70, and he also pitched a combined no-hitter on September 28th, 1975. He's a member of the Athletics Hall of Fame, and he's also a member of the San Francisco Giants Wall of Fame. Vita Blue, there you go. Again, fast and furious type of start of his career. He kind of, I won't say bottomed off. I mean, he leveled off, but he was quality. He was an elder statesman when I started watching baseball, of course, getting towards the end of his career, but a very solid arm. As you mentioned, that 71 season, boy, woo, out of control, man. But there's Vita's card right there. Now, this card in itself is actually a pretty valuable card. I found it on a few databases ranging anywhere between $5 and $10. So not a bad investment for a player. That's kind of at that time in 87. Not a bad investment, for a player like that who's been kind of again, the 87 Vita Blue Tops card is not what you would think the one that you would want to complete the set. Probably 71 or the 69 card, his rookie card. But the 87 one carries about $10 with it. So it's not a bad looking card. And let's pull it up here for you. I have it right here. This is my version of that Vita Blue card. It's actually, as far as 87 Tops go, pretty good shape. Good sharp corners, cut well. It's not a malfunction. It's not malfunctioned. It's not like all cut weird. Centering's good, and the pitcher's good as well. So again, about $8 to $10 card. I can't really deny that or be happy or be upset about that. But and Vita Blue, funny thing, this card right here, the 87 Tops one, right? So as you know, these stats on the 87s are all pulled from the 86 season, right? Well, in 86, Vita Blue played with the Giants. In 87, he actually, in February of 87, he signed a 1-year deal with the A's. And he actually never made it to spring training. He retired prior to spring training that year. So this is his final baseball card. So, I mean, maybe that's the reason why it's $10. But this is the final Vita Blue baseball card of his career. And I have it. Woo-hoo. So there you go. There's your card of the night, the 87 Vita Blue. And it got me thinking, as we are literally 8 days away from spring training, when I was reading all about the A's and the Giants and the Bay Area, and I was thinking to myself, wait a second, where in the hell are the A's playing at in 2025? I was like, did they ever figure that out? And I was like, oh, yes, they did. So the big question heading into the season is, What are the A's going to call themselves? Are they the Vegas A's? Are they the Oakland A's? Who are the A's? The A's are the A's. They are the Athletics in 2025. There is no city affiliation with the Athletics in 2025. They are not the Athletics or the A's. No, they are the A's or the Athletics. That is it. They are a cityless affiliated team in 2025. Amazing. I don't know if they're going to change. They're obviously changing their uniforms because aren't their road uniforms? They say Oakland across the front, so they can't wear those anymore. Can't debut their Vegas threads, so they're going to do something. Their home games are going to be played two different places. They're going to play games in San Francisco sometimes at Petco, not Petco. Was the park out there? Pepsi, was it Pepsi or Coca-Cola Field that out there and with the Giant Oracle, damn it, Oracle, where the Giants play. And they're also going to play in Sacramento. Yeah, Sacramento, California, which is the home of the Giants AAA affiliate, the Sacramento. Where's the? I had it right here. Of course, I don't even have. It's the Sacramento somebody's. It's at Sutter Heath Park in Sacramento is where they're going to play. They are sharing space with the River Cats. There you go. The Sacramento River Cats, which are the AAA affiliate of the Giants. So they are going to split their time between Sacramento, and I believe some games will be played at Oracle. I think some. They're not saying how many, but I think they're going to try to get some there. But that is where the A's will play in 2025. I was really wondering about that. Like, where the hell are they going to play? Now, of course, the other team that's displaced in 2025 is the Tampa Bay Rays. They are playing all their home games at Steinbrenner Field, Legends Field. The spring training home of the Yankees is where the Rays will play. They're going to play their spring training games at their facility. And then when the regular season begins, they're going to move to the Yankees facility and share room. Don't forget the Yankees FCL team and their single A team, I think, play out of there. So they're going to also throw themselves in there and play their home games in there. So in Tampa. So weirdness, man. Now, the reason is Steinbrenner Field or Legends Field is more of a pro-ready facility than the Rays spring training home, and bigger facility, more revenue sharing opportunities, and the Yankees are allowing them to do that. Now, there's one poor drawback to playing your games at the Yankees spring training facility or any spring training facility, is that somebody is going to have to go there in July and August and play in Tampa outside. That's right. Now, the Phillies are going to Tampa this year, but they're going in May. So it would be pretty comfortable when they're there. But can you imagine in like late July, you got to play a Sunday afternoon game at 1:00. Now, they already have said that they will attempt to flex a lot of their games. Their games are going to be a lot of like later in the day start games, especially for afternoon games. They're not going to try to have them play in the heat of the day all the time. But you got the rain issues, you got the heat. Yeah, man, being displaced sucks, man. And the A's and the Rays can attest to that in 2025, as neither one of them are playing in any home facilities. Now, the Rays are still going by the Tampa Bay Rays because they still play out of Tampa. The A's are now the A's. They don't have a home. They're playing in Sacramento and in San Francisco. So a little teaser of what are some of the fun things to come to start the season when it comes to at least the A's and the Rays for you baseball aficionados out there. And they have not debuted their uniforms, what they're going to look like in terms of road wise for the A's. So wait and see about that. That's going to take us to the end, I guess, guys. That's a fast and furious type of show tonight. back on the air. Missed last night. Had post-game duties, but I missed that too. So nothing last night, but we came back tonight. Hopefully we set the record straight. We got things back on track. We talked a little bit about your we broke down another position group between the Eagles and the Chiefs. Tonight we took apart the front four and slightly gave the edge to the Eagles in this one. Slight edge. It's almost a dead heat, honestly. Except for the category of pass defense versus each other. That's, the front four of the Eagles is generating a little bit more when it comes to that. And we talked to your day in Philadelphia sports history, basically the place card holders for the Phillies entered the National League on this day back in 1880. And then we talked about our Flyers issues. I gave you my summarized post-game report from missing the game last night, so I fulfilled that obligation. Gave you a little bit of a preview of some of the great things coming up here on the network, and we're going to run those things down here again before we say goodnight. And we also talked our card of the night and our segment of the night. Our segment of the night was Flyers prospect Zayd Wisdom. And maybe it's time. Things are not really working out. It's time to potentially move on from him. So all those great things. And then, of course, Vita Blue was our card of the night. So we're going to say good night and remind everybody here that tomorrow at 4:15, be back as myself and Kyle Quinn will begin our breakdown of the Super Bowl on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. And then I'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock to finish up the week. And then on Sunday at 10 o'clock, Super Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning, the Birds Flyby pregame show, which will be followed up, of course, by the postgame show immediately following the game. And all the other great things we have here to offer on the Sports Network, on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And until we talk again tomorrow afternoon, you guys have a great rest of your night and an even better tomorrow.